Hello, and let's go straight into it, shall we? How to free yourself from a stressed brain and an anxious mind in 2018. I've got a cold today, so excuse my voice because it literally is all over the place. My name is Paul Wood. I'm the founder of Rise.Rest in the Norfolk Anxiety Clinic. I've been an unconventional anxiety therapist for over 10 years, working mainly with stressed entrepreneurs and executives who suffer from fear-based conditions, anxiety, panic, chronic stress, self-doubt, insomnia, and all the numerous physiological, mental, and emotional effects that anxiety and stress has on your brain, body, mind, and emotions. Due to philosophical differences, I'm now a stress and anxiety consultant and no longer consider myself as a therapist. 20 years in 50 words, 20 years of my life in 50 words. 18, confusion, stress, anxiety, pain, Marines, strong, super fit, war, post-traumatic stress disorder, heartbreak, loneliness, debt, despair, homeless, unloved, alcohol dependent, no purpose, meditation, mindfulness, therapist training, thriving practice, love, marriage, happy home, baby 1, baby 2, exhausted wife, worn down, burnt out, autoimmune disease, temporary blindness, ME, bedridden, near death, neurologist, pain and suffering, 3 years recovery, brain training, new life, new me, new world. But I'm sure you've been through the mill as well. If you're anyone that reaches the age of 35, 40, 50 has been through a tremendous amount in life. And most of us, like me, as I've just explained, has been through problems with anxiety, with depression, physical health problems, and trying to deal with all these different things whilst you have children and whilst you have a wife and whilst you have to earn money at the same time is a challenge, is it not? So today we speak about you, talk about a new path, a new direction, and you moving forward, outlining the way forward so you can get from where you are now to the point where this problem is no longer affecting you in your life. Now, anxiety is the problem, is it not? We're here to talk about the effect of anxiety and not the emotion, because your brain tends to compartmentalize anxiety and tends to blinker you to focus on the emotion, i.e. how you're feeling, rather than the effect it's having on your life. The cumulative effects of stress and anxiety on your body include headaches, muscle tension or pain, chest pain, fatigue, change in sex drive, stomach upset, sleep problems. The effect on your mood, irritability or anger, anxiety, restlessness, lack of motivational focus, feeling overwhelmed, sadness or depression. The effect on your behavior, overeating or undereating, angry outbursts, drug or alcohol abuse, tobacco use, social withdrawal, exercising less often. The effects are massive, aren't they? The effects are huge, and the problem is what we see is the emotion, but we do not see the effects. Now I'm going to suggest to you that if you're a person who has stress or anxiety for more than the past 6 months, every problem in your life, every single problem, anxiety and stress is a causal factor in every single problem that you have. So I'm going to say that most problems in your life have come about due to stress or anxiety not enabling you to function at your best behavior, your best how you feel, your best physical health, sleeping well, feeling energized when you wake up in the morning, your best level of confidence, feeling strong, feeling happy, feeling positive in yourself. It's dampened your mood, it's dampened your confidence, it's dampened your brain health, it's dampened your physical health, it's dampened your ability to connect with people and build good, enjoyable relationships. It's dampened your mood, feeling lower, feeling down, feeling depressed. And it's limited you in so many different ways that it really is the causal defining factor that is influencing your life, whether positively or negatively. There's 3 different control centers of your brain: the reptilian part of your brain, the limbic system, and the frontal lobe. Now what you need to know is imagine it as 3 literally different control centers, and your brain switches from one to the other. Now what happens when stress takes over our brain is that the oldest part of your brain takes over. Now this part of your brain, the primary function is to keep you alive. So the primary function isn't for you to make conscious, intelligent choices in your life that move your life to a high level. The function is purely to keep you alive, and it does an incredibly simplistic million-year-old technique. The way to do this is it basically shuts you down and stops you from doing certain things. So you probably heard of the flight or freeze, and that is literally how your brain works. But people think it only works that way when, say, you're in an incredibly dangerous situation and you have huge amounts of adrenaline go through you, but it doesn't. In today's modern society, the low-level stress people experience continuously allows your brain to limit you and control you, controlling your behavior, controlling the way you think, controlling the way you feel, and controlling ultimately the choices that you'll make, even if it's a low level stress. And the tendency then is to i.e. freeze, not do anything in your life, whether you want to improve your relationships, improve your mental health, improve your physical body. Low level stress or anxiety that's continuous constantly throughout the day will cause you to unconsciously feel shut down and not do those things. Or on the next scale of flight or fight. So some people might always avoid flight, always run away, always avoid, never get around to doing the most important things in your life and just get through the things that you have to do each day. Or fight. It may cause you to be aggressive, to be dominant, to be too conflicting with people, incredibly reactive, which is how many of my clients are, where every single thing that goes wrong, whether it's at work, whether it's at home, you feel you have to react to it, you feel you have to stand up to it, you feel you have to, confront people about it. And this is creating a never-ending sense of stress, or maybe you're just that way towards yourself. So every single thought that you have, you continuously focus on, continuously thinking about, and it's incredibly draining within you. So what we're going to talk about is the new part of your brain, the frontal lobe, the blue part of your brain, which is represented on this diagram. This is the part of your brain that makes you a genius. This is the part of your brain that everything intelligent, capable, resourceful, clever that you have done throughout your life, it's this part of your brain that has given you, enabled you to create that behavior, to have those thoughts, and to take those actions. So what tends to happen right now, for most people, is cognitive dissonance. And what I mean by that is that you've come to see me today, you've come to listen to me today because you have certain problems in your life. And you probably could look at these problems from a certain paradigm, but I'm slowly suggesting to you that every problem in your life is going to be linked directly to the problems that have led you to be here today. Now, you may not look at it that way in terms of how you examine your life, but I'm going to say almost every single problem has this cause effect because it massively changes the way your brain works. And anyone that's suddenly experienced high stress or anxiety instantaneously understands this. But the problem with most people is the stress slowly builds up over weeks, months, and years that we can never notice it. Because you can't really know how you felt a year ago compared to today. You can't really know how you felt 2 years ago compared to today. We have a feeling things are different, but we don't see how dramatically your feelings, thoughts, actions, behavior, tendency, mood really has changed over that period of time. So you may be at a point now, where you've reached a feedback loop where stress now creates more stress. The stress then rewires your brain to create even more stress, the higher and higher levels of anxiety. An example of this is the upward or downward spiral. So imagine that you're at a point where stress has gone past the point where it's just slightly annoying, past the point to the point where it's affecting you continuously throughout your whole day. And then suddenly you sleep worse one night, and naturally with poor sleep, you wake up feeling more stressed the next day, more anxious, more reactive, which then means that the second night you sleep in poorer. You now entered a downward spiral where stress is creating symptoms and problems in your life, which is creating more stress. And that downward spiral can go as far as it possibly goes. There is no limit to how bad it can get going in that direction. Limiting beliefs which are factually inaccurate, but we tend to think are true and we don't consciously elaborate and really define them and think about them. The things that we behave as if are true, but it doesn't really matter if they're true or not. Come on, next one. Look around. So what you'll see in today's modern society is people have normalized anxiety or stress. This is the culture that we live in, the culture where people focus on managing it, which is my pet hate, rather than recovering from it. So imagine that you sleep poorly because stress and anxiety is affecting you in a negative way. Therefore, the next day you've got to cope with all your symptoms of stress and anxiety and get through the day and succeed at work and be kind to your wife and children. It's incredibly difficult, isn't it? It's incredibly difficult. So what people do is they tend to focus on management because you only have a certain amount of mental and emotional energy throughout the day. So we say, right, I'm going to use that to just cope and get through today. The problem with that is no guarantee that you're going to recover over the long term. And in fact, you're less likely to. Now, I'm going to suggest to you over the course of this video that your attention should be on focusing your time and energy on recovery, not on managing to get through the day. Because one will lead to your life improving, and the other will mean you'll get through today, but the downward spiral will only get worse over time. So the prisoner you is the limbic system. The limbic system, the part of your brain, the highly emotional part of your brain that's affected by stress and anxiety. The part of your brain that makes you feel trapped, that gives you a low mood, that makes you feel confused, makes you feel angry, makes you feel reactive, makes you feel less confident when stress and anxiety becomes your daily norm. And then the stubborn you, the reptilian part of your brain, the part of your brain that really does not care at all how good your relationships are, does not care how much money you earn, does not care how good your life is, does not care at all even if you're depressed, anxious and suicidal. It literally does not care at all. That part of your brain, that control center, only wants you to stay alive, and it predicts the actions to take to keep you alive by the actions you've done already. So if you're alive today, which you are, then it predicts that you're doing the right thing, so it will continue. So even if there's so many habits in your life, so many choices that you're making every single day that is making your anxiety worse, making your stress worse, making you sleep poor, making you more unhappy, making your relationships more reactive, making work more difficult, making you less confident, less able, more frustrated every single day, that part of your brain only wants you to continue in the same direction. And this is what happens when stress and anxiety takes over our brains, is that it causes us to make choices that will only reinforce the poor habit, the place that we're currently at. Yeah. So whatever's happening right now in your life, the reason why it may get worse, the reason why the downward spiral may increase, is because the tendency from your brain, if you do not consciously make a choice, will be to continue in the same direction and not make different choices. And then there's the epic you, the frontal lobe, the very best version of you, which is what we're focusing on today. Yeah, the best version of you, where your health, your brain health, your emotional health, your physical health, everything combines to support you being the best father, the best wife, the best businessman, the best person at work, the best person in every area of your life. It supports the best habits. Yep, it supports the best choices. It supports the best parts of your brain and the best parts of you. Rather than stress, anxiety and depression only leads us to a direction where we sleep poorly, we feel worse, our mood gets lower, we make worse choices at work, we make more mistakes, and it just leads to a never-ending downward spiral. So recovery is not the end. Recovery is not the end. Firstly, most people come to see me when they've got specific symptoms that they want to alleviate, which obviously we will do. But recovery isn't the end, is it? Because what you can see is just alleviation of those symptoms is just getting you to another place, isn't it? But why not continue in that direction? When you've seen what we're talking about today, there's so many negative effects of stress and anxiety in your life. Why not continue? Why not say, right, so the minimum is obviously that's when you've alleviated all these symptoms, when you're sleeping better, when the stress and anxiety isn't affecting you on an emotional level at all. Yeah. Why not continue? Why not go higher and higher and higher? Why not use what you've learned in your life to say, right, I can see myself that this is the most important thing in my life, and I'm going to lay down this foundation, recover from the symptoms that currently affected me, to move higher and higher and higher. To create the best version of you, so that you have the best behavior, your brain supports your best thoughts, the best feelings, creating helping you in your relationships, best creativity, emotional well-being. So moving from a place, where at the moment you may be continuously putting out fires, where just to get through the day there's so many fires that are continuously arising because of all the problems and how you feel, how you think and how you behave, that it's just continuous stress, frustration. And I get that from the perspective that you're at now, it may seem impossible to even think of a different way of being or experiencing the world. But hopefully this will give you the confidence that you can do more, and understanding that your brain is just wired to keep you where you are right now. The trigger, of course, people massively get this confused, where every problem that comes up in your life, you can focus on the trigger is my wife, the trigger is work, the trigger is my boss, the trigger is things around me that I don't like, the trigger is just me, the trigger is poor sleep, whatever it is, but people tend to get the trigger and cause confused, where the cause is how stress and anxiety has affected your brain, over the past year. That's the cause. Now the trigger then today is all these things we just spoke about. Anything now can trigger your stress and your anxiety to make your symptoms worse, to make your health worse, to make your brain health worse, and to make today more difficult. But those things aren't the cause. And I'm going to suggest that when you walk around in your day-to-day life, now you've learned to cope and manage your stress. So you look at these things as the cause. If someone has a go at me now, that's caused all these problems within me, but it hasn't. Because if I'd taken better care of myself over the past few months, then that same thing could happen, but it would have no effect on me. So my perspective is that where lots of things may trigger you now, we want to move forward in a direction where less and less things trigger you, and you're more stronger within yourself, more resilient in yourself, and moving forward in a much better direction. So stress and anxiety, what we spoke about today, is not an emotion. Yeah, what we spoke about today is the deeper physiological, mental and emotional changes which happen when you live with chronic stress and anxiety. These changes cannot be ignored. These changes cannot be coped with, and they cannot be managed. You either recover from stress and anxiety, or those changes literally massively impact every area of your life every day for the rest of your life. So there's no limit. There's no limit in terms of your brain. You can wire your brain for reactivity, or you wire it for responses. You can wire it so the reptilian stem influences you more and more every day. So the limbic system causes more and more stress, adrenaline, cortisol to be released in your bloodstream, influencing you in that direction more and more. Or you can move in the opposite direction, where the frontal lobe literally controls more and more of your choices, your habits, your behaviors, your thoughts, your feelings, your moods in that direction. You become more responsive to life rather than more reactive. So there's no limit. It's an upward or downward spiral where everything either positively influences everything, taking you higher and higher, everything negatively influences everything, taking you further and further down. I've spoken to people who have had anxiety for 34 years, and honestly, it's still got worse every single year, and it's still getting worse. There's no limit to how far you can go in that direction, and beautifully, there's no limit to how high you can go in the opposite direction. So ignore the triggers. Knowing within yourself that dramatic changes come from small, consistent daily choices, and that's the direction that we're moving forward in. The three brains that we spoke about today, the frontal lobe, the limbic system, and the reptilian stem, three different control centers that massively impact you. Now just imagine, just ask yourself the question, which brain is controlling you in your life? Which brain is influencing you in your life? Yep, because that's going to dictate the life that you have. You can still have a good life if the reptilian stem is influencing you mostly throughout the day, but your entire life is conflicted, your entire life is stress, your entire life is drama, your entire life is difficulty, your entire life is self-sabotage. Yep. Whereas the opposite direction, you can have the same things that you've got now and more, but there's a flow to your life. There's abundance to your life. Your life's more effortless, easy. All the conflict disappears from your relationships at work, and everything flows smoother. Why, Paul? Why does our stupid brains do these types of things then? Well, mainly because stress, realistically, although people don't like to hear it, it's only supposed to be felt. It's only supposed to be experienced when there's a threat of physical danger. So that's how your brain is wired. Your brain is designed that adrenaline and cortisol, the two stress hormones, are released to help you deal with physical dangers that are happening right now. Yeah, happening in this moment, and that's the point of it. So all the psychological dangers that people have learned over the years, none of these things are helped by stress. None of these things by your stress response. None of these things are helped by your body engaging your fight and flight, releasing cortisol and adrenaline into your bloodstream. None of them are helped in any way. It just makes your life worse. There is zero positive benefit for stress in your life. Zero positive benefit. So 99% or 10%. Realistically, ask yourself the question, so how much are you functioning your very best right now? 10%, 99%? Ask yourself within that yourself. Because the difference is massive, isn't it? The people I speak to every single day are too busy. They're not too stupid. It's that they're so busy, and they've got so much they want to achieve and get through throughout the day, is that they never really get around to doing the things we're going to speak about. They never really get around to it. It's not that they're not capable. It's not that they're not clever enough. It's just simply that there's other things they prioritize, not realizing that what we're going to speak about aligns perfectly with everything that you do once. Maybe you prioritize work. Yep. Well, realistically, over the medium and the long term, your mental health is going to dictate how well you function at work, is it not? Maybe you prioritize your relationships and you're doing things for your wife every day now. Wonderful. Maybe you prioritize your children. But knowing within yourself that for you to succeed in those areas, you have to be at your best. If you're not at your best, then you cannot succeed in those areas. And then the worse you become, the lower on that percentage scale you get to, the more effort you have to put in, rather than when you're at your very best, when your brain's functioning perfectly, when you're feeling great in yourself, your relationships flow so much easier, work flows so much easier, and everything becomes much more effortless. So Andy Murray is currently the world number one. I think he's actually world number two now. But anyway, imagine he's the world number one. So why is he so good? Why is he so good? Why is he so awesome within himself? Like, primarily because he has coaches, primarily because there's people that supports him, primarily because these coaches enable him to do the right things each day. Because without that, what would happen? Well, he'd wake up in the morning and say, right, I'm just going to do what I want to today. I'm just going to hit the ball a few times, do a few backhands, do a few forehands. And that's not going to lead him to really do the right things that are going to cause him to succeed in life. And it's the same with your mental health, same with your emotional being. There's things you have to do each day, and without making the right consistent choices, you're probably every single day not going to do the things that lead to your recovery. You're probably going to do things that manage your day, manage how you feel, but you're going to have no accountability, no efficiency. So it's literally like tossing a coin each day. Am I going to do the right things for my anxiety and stress? Am I going to take my life forward, or am I not? And most people don't tend to. Most people tend to move in the same direction that you've already moved in. So whoever's led you to how you are today, it's likely that you're in a downward spiral, and it's likely those things can have the tendency to get worse. So most people are tired and confused. They're tired, they're confused, they're frustrated, they're stressed. It's causing conflict with your wife or children. It's not stopping them thriving in their business. It's making their life maybe 10% more difficult, 20% more difficult, 8%, or even 1,000% more difficult by these problems. So these problems are the problem in your life. They are the problem that's causing every problem within your life. So, allow your mind now to drop that compartmentalization and link it to everything. So if you've got stress and difficulty in your relationship with your wife or your husband, if you've got stress and difficulty in your relationship with your children, if there's so many problems coming up in your life, then internally your mental and emotional being, your brain health is the cause of these problems. So my question to you is, have you had enough? Have you had enough? Are you ready today to make a decision to not just alleviate, to not just get rid of the symptoms that have led you to want to come and work with me, but to really take your life to a high level beyond that? Because that's what I'm about. It's poor when people just want to alleviate the symptoms and carry on the same direction. That's crazy. That's stupid, isn't it? Because the same direction has caused all those problems in your life. So my perspective is to learn, what has led you in this direction, to alleviate these symptoms, to reduce all the symptoms you've got of anxiety, stress, insomnia, whatever it is, to recover from that, and then from that foundation take your life to an entire new level. So the next 5, 10, 20, 30, 40 years, none of those problems ever come back. People always say to me, Paul, so this anxiety thing, how do I get rid of it? But they never think about the long term. They never think about, I just don't want to get rid of it now. Obviously I want to get rid of it, but I want to get rid of it in a way that's never going to come back, because that's the most important thing, isn't it? So my pet hate is men or women who seemingly do everything right but fail in life because they've trained their brain to sabotage their success. They've coped with stress and anxiety rather than recovered from it. This is my pet. This is the thing that annoys me more than anything else. When I meet great people, wonderful people, kind, hardworking, loving people that could have had wonderful lives. Just getting a drink there. What's happened is stress and anxiety has caused so much conflict in their life that maybe it's caused them to get divorced. Maybe it's caused them to leave a job that they were great at. Maybe it's lost them a promotion. Maybe it's caused their physical health to decline. Insomnia, stress, anxiety. Maybe it's led to an addictive tendency. They overdrink, overeat. Maybe it's caused tremendous problems in their life. That frustrates me no end, because it seems crazy, doesn't it? If you're going to work hard each day, work hard at the right things that are going to cause you to succeed and flourish in life, rather than work hard at just getting through the day, just putting out the day-to-day fires. It's just not going to work in a way that people want it to. So who is this for? Who is it for to work with me? Well, it's for people who focus on the long-term costs. Yep, I'm not here to help people who just want to reduce their symptoms a little bit and move forward in their life and make the same choices again that can lead to the same problems. That's ridiculous. I'm here to work with people who have really got to their point, really got to a point, where they're ready in themselves to say, right, I don't just want to recover today, but I want to recover for the next 30, 40 years. I want to make choices now that are going to move me in a different direction. So whatever problems I've experienced over the past year, 10 years, 5 years, do not ever come up again in my life and no longer sabotage me in my life. So it's people that have seen the real long-term costs to your relationships, to your finances, to your emotional well-being, to your decision-making, to your confidence, to your self-esteem. It's seen experience to see those as real things right now that are being caused by this problem. It's about putting you first, isn't it? Yeah, so you've got a to-do list, a value list. It's about understanding that you are the glass ceiling of your family and of your life. You, your brain health, your emotional well-being. And if you put you first, if you put you as becoming the best version of you at the center of your life, then everything will flow from that. But as we get worn down in life, as we get stressed, anxious, reactive, sleeping poorly, and we still put everyone else first, it's just a never-ending downward spiral, isn't it? Where people, we're not going to be able to really serve the people who love us and care about most. Great, that's it. That's everything done today. I've managed to get through it with my crappy cold, being barely able to talk. So if you want to speak to me, which you obviously do, as you would not be on the end of this video right now, below or to the side somewhere there's a button you can click, and it'll enable you to book an appointment to speak to me this week. And what we'll do is we'll go through everything we spoke about today. We'll go through the problems, the factors, the things that have limited you, the things that have been holding you back. We'll speak about how to recover from that, and we'll outline a way forward. Yep, we'll outline a way forward. So my perspective on that for most people is, firstly, what we want to do is we want to reduce the symptoms consistently they're affecting you each week, whether it's high anxiety that's causing tremendous problems in your life, whether it's some symptom from chronic stress or chronic anxiety that's limiting you, whether it's insomnia, or something along those lines. Outline a way forward so those symptoms reduce consistently, weekly, day by day, week by week. Yeah, and as you recover from those things, we lay a foundation for you to move forward and take your life to a whole new level, seeing in yourself that it's literally not just about alleviating symptoms, it's about understanding what led you to this point, so you can make different decisions that will never lead you down that path ever again. Brilliant. Well, it's great to speak to you today, and I really look forward to speaking to every single one of you very, very soon. Awesome. Take care. Bye.